The static on my TV started sounding like a voice. "Hello?" I whispered. The static stopped. Then it replied, "I've been trying to reach you." I thought it was a joke until my phone, my radio, my laptop all started saying the same thing. Then the power went out, and the voice spoke from the darkness. "Now you can hear me clearly. Hey everyone. I've been lurking on this sub for a while, reading your stories, but I never thought I'd have one of my own to share. Now, I'm not so sure I should be telling it. But I need to get it out. I live in a small town in upstate New York. It's quiet, surrounded by dense woods and old, abandoned buildings that have stories of their own. I've always been a skeptic, never one to believe in ghosts or the supernatural. But what happened to me last fall changed everything. It started on a chilly October evening. The kind where the wind howls through the trees, and the leaves rustle like whispers. I was home alone, my wife visiting her sister in Albany. I decided to relax, made myself a cup of tea, and settled in to watch some late-night TV. As I flipped through the channels, the screen suddenly went to static. Annoyed, I tapped the remote, thinking it was just a glitch. But the static remained. I was about to turn it off when I heard it, a faint voice amidst the white noise. "Hello," it whispered. I froze. The voice was soft, almost drowned by the static, but unmistakable. I leaned closer, trying to make sense of it. "Hello," I whispered back, feeling foolish. The static ceased abruptly, leaving an eerie silence. Then, clear as day, the voice responded, "I've been trying to reach you." I sat back, heart pounding. I laughed nervously, convincing myself it was a prank or some interference. But then my phone buzzed. I picked it up. The screen was blank, yet the speaker crackled to life. "I've been trying to reach you," the voice repeated. I dropped the phone, startled. The radio in the kitchen turned on by itself, tuning into static. The same voice emanated from it. "I've been trying to reach you." I backed away, fear creeping in. My laptop, which was off, powered up on its own. The screen displayed nothing but black, yet the speakers played the same message. "I've been trying to reach you." Then, the power went out. The house plunged into darkness. I stood there, enveloped by silence. From the darkness, the voice spoke again, louder this time. "Now you can hear me clearly." I stumbled backward, knocking over a chair. I fumbled for my flashlight, hands trembling. When I turned it on, the beam flickered, barely illuminating the room. "Who are you?" I demanded, trying to keep my voice steady. No response. Just the sound of the wind outside and my own ragged breathing. I decided to leave the house. I grabbed my coat and keys, but when I opened the door, the world outside was shrouded in an unnatural fog. The streetlights were out, and the usual sounds of the night were absent. I stepped outside, the cold air biting. As I walked down the driveway, my flashlight flickered and died. I was plunged into darkness again. Then, from behind me, the voice whispered, "Don't leave." I turned around, but no one was there. I ran to my car, jumped in, and tried to start it. The engine sputtered but didn't turn over. The radio turned on by itself, the same static-filled voice repeating, "I've been trying to reach you." I screamed, slamming my fists on the steering wheel. Suddenly, the car started, and the headlights illuminated the fog. I drove off, not knowing where I was going, just needing to get away. As I drove, the fog thickened, and the road seemed unfamiliar. The GPS on my phone was unresponsive, and the compass spun wildly. I felt like I was driving in circles. After what felt like hours, I saw a dim light ahead. I approached cautiously and realized it was an old diner, seemingly abandoned. Desperate, I pulled into the parking lot and went inside. The interior was dusty, with cobwebs hanging from the ceiling. Yet, the jukebox in the corner played a soft tune. I approached it, and the song changed to static. Then, the voice spoke again. "I've been trying to reach you." I backed away, heart racing. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and the room was filled with whispers. I couldn't make out the words, but they were all around me. I ran out, back into the fog, and drove aimlessly until I found my way home. The power was back on, and everything seemed normal. But I knew it wasn't over. Since that night, I've been hearing the voice in unexpected places, the TV, the radio, even in the rustling of leaves. It's always the same message: "I've been trying to reach you." I don't know what it wants or why it chose me. But I fear that whatever it is, it's getting closer. I'll update if anything else happens. For now, I just needed to share this. Maybe someone out there has experienced something similar. Stay safe. I tried to go back to my normal life. I really did. After that night, I told myself it was a mix of exhaustion, too much caffeine, and an overactive imagination. I buried the memory deep and didn't tell my wife when she got back from Albany. What was I supposed to say? "Hey honey, the TV whispered to me and now I think a ghost is stalking me through my electronics." No. I kept it to myself. But then it started happening again. It didn't begin with a bang, it never does. It was small things at first. Lights flickering for no reason. My phone battery draining overnight even when it was off. Static bursts from the speakers when no one was using them. And the whispers. I'd be brushing my teeth at night and hear something just below the sound of the faucet. Not words, just a presence. Something waiting. Something patient. The turning point happened one night when my wife and I were watching a movie. A romantic comedy. Something light to get our minds off the cold creeping into October. We were both on the couch, a bowl of popcorn between us, when the TV screen glitched. The screen froze for a second, distorted lines running down like melting film. The sound warped, and just as I reached for the remote, the screen went black. Completely. Then the static. Loud and hissing, like a storm crashing through the speakers. My wife yelped and dropped her wine glass. And then the voice. "I see you now. Clear. Male. Calm." It didn't sound angry. It didn't sound friendly either. It was like someone reading a sentence off a script they'd memorized years ago. My wife turned to me with wide eyes. "Did you hear that?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. My throat closed up. My chest felt tight, like 100 invisible hands were pressing down on it. The screen flickered back to life. The movie resumed like nothing had happened. No static. No voice. Just Jennifer Aniston laughing at something off-screen. We sat there in silence. The next day, I took the TV apart. Literally unscrewed the back and looked at every cable. I even called the company, pretending to be a tech-savvy customer concerned about interference. Nothing helped. I swapped it out for an old one from the attic. CRT. No internet. No Bluetooth. The thing hummed when you plugged it in, like a sleeping dragon. I thought maybe that would stop it. I was wrong. A week later, my wife woke me up at 3:17 a.m. She stood at the foot of the bed, shaking. Her eyes looked vacant. Not scared. Not angry. Just blank. "I've been trying to reach you," she said. I sat up so fast I got lightheaded. "What? Babe, what are you talking about?" She blinked slowly, like coming out of a dream. I don't know. I was dreaming. I think. You were standing there. You said the thing. What thing? I didn't answer. I couldn't. My skin was ice. The next morning, she had no memory of it. Thought I was joking. It wasn't a joke. That same day, I took a drive to get out of the house. I needed fresh air, a distraction, maybe a moment to feel normal again. I ended up driving toward an old radio tower about 10 miles from town. It's been abandoned for years, but something about it kept nagging at me. I parked and walked through the overgrown grass. The building beside it was falling apart, the metal door rusted shut. I found a loose panel on the side and crawled inside. It was quiet. Too quiet. Old equipment littered the floor, dials, gauges, dusty microphones. And on the far wall, a breaker panel. I walked up to it and paused. The breakers were on. There was power. Even though the place had been disconnected for a decade, maybe more. And then, the static. It rose from nowhere, a low hum vibrating through the metal floor. My phone buzzed in my pocket. No service. The hum turned into voices. Overlapping. Echoing. My head started to hurt. I stumbled back, trying to find the way out, but every step felt like walking through water. Then the lights turned on. One by one. Click. 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 And at the center of the room, a console I hadn't noticed before flickered to life. Its screen lit up with a single line of text, "Now you can hear me." I screamed. I'm not ashamed to say it. The next thing I knew, I was outside on the ground, gasping for breath. It was dark. Hours had passed. I drove home on autopilot, the headlights cutting through thick fog that hadn't been there when I arrived. When I walked into the house, my wife was waiting. She didn't speak. She just stared. "You went to the tower, didn't you?" she said quietly. I stopped cold. "How do you know about that place?" "I don't," she replied, tears forming in her eyes. "But, he does." We didn't sleep that night. We sat on the couch in silence, listening. Sometimes it was the fridge humming. Sometimes the pipes groaning. But if you listen just right, beneath all that, you could hear him. I still don't know what he is. Or why he chose me. But he's not a ghost. Ghosts don't follow you into your dreams. They don't infect machines or people. They don't learn your voice. Because that's the newest trick. He talks like me now. Same pitch. Same tone. Same damn words. I answered a call from my own number the other day, and my voice said, "You're finally listening." I don't sleep much anymore. I unplug everything before bed. I leave the house when I can. But no matter where I go, he finds a way to speak. He's always trying to reach me. And lately, I think I'm starting to hear him even when it's silent. I stopped trying to understand it. Trying only made it worse. It wasn't just my wife acting strange anymore. It was other people, too. People I knew. People I trusted. They'd say little things, offhand comments that mirrored the voice. A cashier at the gas station told me, "You're not alone." The barista at the coffee shop smiled too wide and said, "He speaks through everything now." None of them remembered saying it afterward. That's when I realized this thing wasn't stuck in my house. It was everywhere. One night, I took a walk just to get away from the constant buzz inside my own home. My wife was asleep, or pretending to be. It was late, cold, and the streets were empty. I turned down a side road and walked until I reached the old community center. The building had been shut down for years after a fire in the back room, but the sign still hung out front, cracked and faded. I stood there, staring at it, when the fluorescent light above the entrance flickered on. It shouldn't have had power. I felt that same pressure in my chest again, like I was being watched from every angle. I turned around, and saw a figure standing on the opposite sidewalk. Just standing. Perfectly still. Too far to make out any details, but close enough that I could feel his eyes on me. "Leave me alone," I shouted. The figure tilted its head. Then it whispered in my voice, across the street and into my bones, "I'm trying to bring you home." I ran. When I got home, the TV was on. My wife was gone. The screen showed only a looping video, me, standing at the community center, shouting into the night. There was no camera there. No one could have recorded that. And still, there I was, on the screen. Over and over. Then it stopped. The TV showed a dark room. Not mine. Not anywhere I recognized. The camera panned slowly, showing dozens of people standing motionless in a circle. Their faces were blurred. Like static. Their bodies jerked occasionally, like they weren't used to moving. One of them stepped forward. He looked just like me. Exactly like me. He stared into the camera and smiled. Then the screen cut to black. I smashed the TV. The glass didn't shatter the way it should have. It bent, like rubber, and hummed before flickering out. I started researching. Digging through local reports, old library microfilm, internet forums no one reads anymore. I found a pattern. The same messages. The same voices. All within a 100-mile radius of that radio tower. Dating back to 1976. People disappeared. A lot of them. Always alone. Always after reporting strange static or hearing voices through speakers. The last report was in 1998. A man named Carl Benton. A mechanic from Plattsburgh. Said something was calling him through the wires. They found his garage empty. Tools still warm. Cigarette still burning in the ashtray. He was never found. I tracked down his daughter through a Facebook page dedicated to missing persons. We met at a diner in Utica. She was older now, but her hands still shook when she spoke. He said it could follow him through anything, she whispered. Not just electronics. Sound. Movement. Even thoughts, if you gave it enough space. What is it? I asked. I think it's not a what. She looked me dead in the eye. I think it's a where. Like, a place. That wants to become real. That was the first time I truly felt hopeless. It wasn't just a voice. It was a location. An alternate version of something pretending to be someone. And it wanted me. The next night, I was home alone again. My wife hadn't come back for days. I tried calling her family, they hadn't seen her either. I searched hospitals. Called the police. No one had answers. It was like she'd never existed. And then the phone rang. Her name on the screen. I picked it up, but didn't speak. Neither did she. There was only static. And then, my own voice, you left her behind. But she's with us now. Then, your place is ready. And then, step into the static. Every light in the house shut off. I ran into the garage, heart pounding, sweat freezing against my skin. I slammed the breaker panel. Nothing came back. I was about to head back inside when I noticed something odd. My neighbors' windows, all of them, were lit up with flickering static light. No TVs. Just glowing white noise, like the house itself was humming. I heard the voice again. Everywhere. From inside my own head. From the cars. The pavement. The trees. You've always been ours. I ran back inside. Grabbed every mirror and smashed them. Every reflective surface. It didn't help. His face, my face, still stared at me from shadows and windows. The laptop turned itself on again. It didn't even boot up. Just a single message appeared on the screen, last chance. Come home. And suddenly, I was no longer in my house. I was in that room. The one from the video. The circle of motionless people surrounded me. They began to turn their heads. Slowly. In sync. They all had my face. All of them. One stepped forward. The same one from the screen. I was the first, he said. I said no. You said yes. He reached for me. I turned to run, and woke up. Back in my house. Everything was normal. Lights on. TV off. Phone on the charger. But I knew it wasn't over. I knew it was waiting. And then I noticed something different in the mirror. It smiled. I didn't. And then it whispered, "This time, you brought me through. Now. Now he's the one living my life. And I'm the one trapped in the static. Watching. Waiting. Trying to reach you. I don't know how long I've been here. Time doesn't work right in the static. Sometimes it's light for hours, sometimes everything is pitch black. I don't sleep. I don't eat. I don't feel tired or hungry. I just exist. Floating in this strange, buzzing nothing. At first, I screamed for help. I begged. I cried. My voice just bounced back at me, warped and broken, like a bad echo stuck in a loop. I can still see the real world. That's the worst part. Like looking through a foggy window. He's in my house. He looks like me. Sounds like me. Lives my life. I saw him kiss my wife on the forehead. Saw him mow my lawn. Laugh with my coworkers on Zoom calls. I even saw him sitting on the porch, drinking my favorite beer and looking up at the sky, like nothing ever happened. But sometimes, just sometimes, he stares straight at me. He knows I'm watching. And he smiles. One day, I tried to reach back. I focused everything I had on one moment, a memory. I whispered into the air, hoping maybe, just maybe, it would leak through. I'm still here. The next day, he smashed the mirror in the hallway. He heard me. So I kept going. I shouted through radios. Whispered through TVs. I found ways to move between wires, signals, anything that carried noise. It took weeks, maybe years, but I figured it out. The same way he reached me, I started reaching back. One night, he was sleeping next to my wife. And I whispered again. I never left. He sat up in bed. He knew. And then. He started changing. Little by little. He stopped shaving. His smile stopped looking real. His eyes didn't blink at the right times. My wife noticed. She tried to ask what was wrong, but he just stared at her. Silent. She called her sister. She left. I watched her go, crying in the car, thinking the man she married was losing his mind. He sat alone in the kitchen for days. I started pushing harder. I made the lights flicker. I messed with his phone. I spoke from the microwave, the sink, the pipes, the fridge. He couldn't escape me. And then I saw it, fear. He was scared. That's when I knew, I could win. But he had one last trick. He built something in the basement. A machine. Wires everywhere. Screens. Microphones. Something to cut me off. He turned it on, and suddenly the static started to shrink. I was being erased. I felt myself stretching, ripping apart. My thoughts became jumbled, broken into pieces. But just before everything went dark, she came back. My wife. She walked into the basement and saw him standing there, talking to the machine, saying my name over and over. I'm the real one, he told her. He's not me. She looked at him. Quiet. Still. And then she said, prove it. He froze. Because he couldn't. She pulled the plug on the machine. The room exploded in light and noise. The static came rushing back like a wave, swallowing everything. I felt myself getting stronger, whole again. He screamed. I came through. He's gone now. Maybe dead. Maybe stuck where I was. Maybe worse. My wife looks at me differently now. Like she's not sure which version came back. I tell her it's me. I kiss her like I used to. I smile. I cook her favorite meals. I remember things only I would know. But sometimes she still watches me when I sleep. And once, I woke up to find her whispering to the toaster. She said, I know you're in there. Now I hear him again. In the static. And I think, he's trying to reach her.